Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Debe Islamic Association's Ramadan Reminders. This year, we'll be continuing to look at the explanation of Chapter 2 of the Holy Quran, Surah Baqarah, the chapter of the cow. This follows the series from last Ramadan, where we looked at the first major theme in this chapter, faith versus disbelief. And this year we'll be looking at the second major theme, Allah's knowledge. Since this is part 11, it means we have entered the second 10 days of Ramadan, the days of forgiveness. So let's recite the recommended dua for the middle 10 days of Ramadan. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhambi wa atubu ilayh. I ask forgiveness of my sins from Allah, who is my Lord, and I turn towards Him.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة والكافرون هم الظالمون الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم.
So we have subdivided Surah Baqarah into 9 parts, and a reflection is seen where the first 20 ayahs and the last 2 ayahs are on the same theme, faith versus disbelief. And in the first 10 parts of this Ramadan's reminders, we looked at ayahs 21 to 39, speaking about Allah's knowledge. And now, in part 11, and we're going to look at the reflection of that, which is from ayahs 254 onwards. Let's look at the meaning within this reflective section, where ayah 254 deals with encouraging believers to give of the bounties God has provided you before the day comes when there is no bargaining. And the middle point in this ring is God is all-powerful and all-knowing, an ally of those who believe, and God is dealing with life and death. So ayahs 254 and 55, which we are dealing with today, belongs to Ruku 34. Let's look at the objective for today's discussion, where it falls within the third juz. And let's quickly revise that the juz or para is a subdivision of Al-Quran, where it was divided into 30 parts. So we have 30 juz. We've moved from the first juz, where the first part of Allah's knowledge was discussed, and now the reflective property falls within the third juz. And each juz carries its name by the first Arabic word within that juz. So this juz begins on ayah 253, and it begins Tilka Rasul. So that is the name of this juz. And Surah Baqarah has also been subdivided into 40 sections or 40 ruku, and we previously did from parts 1 to 10 where we discussed ruku 3 and 4. So now we're moving to 34 to 39, which is at the back end of the surah. The ayah we'll be discussing is 254, where Allah speaks about spending in charity. And if you would like to do further research, you can look at Ibn Kathir, his 10 volumes, and we have now started volume 2. This explanation can further be elaborated on page 19 of that text. And a simple summary of spending in charity is do good before the last day. So ayah 254 begins, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Ya ayyuhalladhina, O you who amanu. O you who have iman. O you who believe. So Allah is specifically addressing the believers in this ayah. And what does He tell them? Anfiku, spend, mimma razaqnakum, spend from what we have provided for you. So Allah has granted them, the believers, a path to righteousness. So let them rush to perform this deed in this life, spending, giving charity. And He goes on to tell them when to do such, when He says, Min qabli ayati yawm. So spend from what we have provided for you, min qabli, before a day comes. And what day is Allah speaking about? A day where la bay'un fihi, a day with no bargaining in it. If we recall in Surah Lahab, where Abu Lahab says in the second ayah in 112, Ma agna anhu malahu wa ma kasab, where he wished to ransom his wealth and children to save him on that day. And of course that is not possible because there is no bargaining in it. And the ayah goes on, wala khullatun, wala, and also there is no friendship. So even those who are our friends in this dunya, on that last day, if we see them, friendship doesn't exist because we are so consumed with ourselves and fear is happening on that day. And the ayah goes on, wala shafa'a, and also on that day there is no intercession. Allah spoke about this similarly in Surah Al-Mu'min, chapter 23, verse 10, where He says, Then, when the trumpet is blown, there will be no kinship among them on that day, nor will they ask of one another. وَالْكَافِرُونَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And the kafirs, what will happen to them? They هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. They are the ones who are wrong. They are the ones who are on the wrong path. No injustice is worse on that day than meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a disbeliever. The second objective for today's discussion looks at Ayah 255, which speaks about Allah's attributes and specifically Ayatul Kursi. And this can be researched on page 21 of volume 2 of Ibn Kathir. And how do we summarize this? This is considered to be the greatest of all ayah in Al-Quran. So Allah speaks about Allah's attributes and Ayatul Kursi in verse 255, when we recall this hadith where the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked this question to the Sahabas: which is the greatest ayah, the greatest verse of Al-Quran? And the Sahabas who were present, after much hesitation, one of them answered, and he said, Ayatul Kursi. And the Nabi, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did he say? Congratulations for having knowledge, O Abu al-Mundhir. By he in whose hand is my soul, this ayah has a tongue and two lips, with which she praises the King, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, next to the leg of the throne. And it's also reported that when we speak about Allah's greatest names or His greatest attributes, it is within the surahs of Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Imran, and Surah Taha. And within Al-Baqarah, the greatest of Allah's names or characteristics lies within Ayatul Kursi, which is this ayah, verse 255. Two of Ayatul Kursi, where Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who was the father of the kittens, was saying, I was entrusted to keep watch over the sadaqah of Ramadan. A person snuck in and started stealing handfuls of foodstuff. I caught him and said, By Allah, I will take you to the Nabi. And the thief responded, Release me, for I am meek, shy, and I have many dependents, and I am in great need. I promise I will never come back again. So in the morning, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to Abu Hurairah, and the Nabi asked, What did your prisoner do yesterday? And this was even before Abu Hurairah had reported to the Prophet about the incident. So the Sahaba replied, I pitied him and let him go. So the Prophet said, Verily he told you a lie and will return. And this second night, the incident happened again with the same outcome. Abu Hurairah catching the thief, and then the thief pleading for mercy, and Abu Hurairah eventually letting him go. And then the incident happened a third night, with the thief adding at this point in time, Let me teach you some words which Allah will give you benefit from. So the thief was speaking to Abu Hurairah when he was caught on the third night. And what did he say? Whenever you go to bed, recite Ayatul Kursi. Allah will appoint a guard over you for the entire night, and no Shaytaan will come near you. And when this was reported by Abu Hurairah to the Nabi the next morning, the Prophet replied, He spoke the truth, even though he is a liar. And who was that thief? It was Shaytaan, taking the persona of a human. So this shows one of the benefits of Ayatul Kursi and why we should recite it at night before we go to sleep. So Ayatul Kursi contains 10 complete sentences, and it goes as follows. Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, none has a right to be worshipped illa except huwa, except him. Al-Hayyu, the ever-living, meaning the one who never dies. Al-Qayyum, the sustainer of all things, the one who sustains everyone and everything. All creation stands in need of Allah and totally relies on Him, while He is the most rich, who stands in need of nothing created. So we can see in this first sentence that there are two of Allah's characteristics highlighted here, Al-Hayyu and Al-Qayyum. So this mentions that Allah is the one and only Lord of all creation. And the next sentence goes, La ta'kudhuhu sinatu wa la naum. La ta'kudhuhu, neither slumber, sinatu wa la naum, no sleep overtakes him, meaning his eyes don't shut even for a split second, doesn't feel sleepy at all. So this means that he has no shortcomings. He is aware of everything and never is any ignorance of an event occurring. So he has perfect watch over everything. Nothing escapes him. And there's a hadith where the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam reported, Allah does not sleep, and it does not befit His Majesty that He sleeps. He lowers the scales and raises them. The deeds of the day are resurrected in front of Him before the deeds of the night, and the deeds of the night before the deeds of the day. His veil is light or fire, and if He removes it, the rays from His face would burn whatever His sight reaches of His creation. And the ayah continues, Lahu ma fi samawati ma fil ard. Lahu ma fi samawati. To Him belongs whatever is in the samawat, is in the heavens, wa ma fil ard, and whatever is in the earth. Everyone is a servant of Allah. He knows each one of them and has given them a full counting. All shall account to Him on Qiyamah. And it goes on, Man dhal ladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'idhnih. Man dhal ladhi yashfa'u indahu. Man, who is he that can intercede with Him, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Illa, except bi'idhnihi, except with His permission. Spoke about a hadith where He says, I will stand under your throne and fall in prostration, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow me to remain in that position as much as He wills. I will thereafter be told, raise your head, speak and you will be heard, intercede and your intercession will be accepted. He will allow me a proportion whom I will enter into paradise. So this confirms the fact that even for intercession to take place, that happens only with the authority and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ. يَعْلَمُ, He knows مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ. He knows what happens to them, His creatures, in this world. وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ, and what will happen to them in the hereafter. So this refers to His perfect knowledge of all creation, its past, its present, and its future. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala similarly spoke about what the angel Jibreel alayhi salam said in Surah Maryam, chapter 19, verse 64. And we, angels, descend not except by the command of your Lord. Jibreel alayhi salam was speaking to Muhammad. To him belongs what is before us and what is behind us and what is between those two. And your Lord is never forgetful. وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ, and they will never compass anything of his knowledge, of his ilm, إِلَّا, except بِمَا شَاءَ, what he wills. So no one acquires knowledge of Allah and his attributes except what he conveys. So no one invents anything that is new unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows that. And the ayah goes on, وَسِيَا كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. وَسِيَا, and his own extends. And what extends? His kursi, his throne. So his throne extends over the samawat, over the heavens, wal ard, and the earth. So if the 7 heavens and the earth were flattened and laid side by side, it would add up to a ring in the desert compared to the throne. وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا, and he feels no fatigue in hifz, in guarding and preserving them, preserving the heavens and the earth. This is an easy matter for him. All matters are insignificant, modest, and humble before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can ask him about what he does, while they will be asked. Accountability is from the creation to the creator, not the other way around. And the ayah concludes, وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. وَهُوَ, and he is Aliyul, he is the most high, Azim, the most great. So we see here 2 characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, showing that he has supreme power over all things. There is no deity worthy of worship except him, and no Lord other than him. So even in the first sentence in Ayatul Kursi, there were 2 characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we see this linguistic miracle of being reflective, that in the last sentence, there are also 2 characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have now come to the end of part 11 in the series Allah's Knowledge. Today we looked at spending in charity and Allah's attributes with Ayatul Kursi. In preparation for part 12, we suggest that you read the next 2 ayahs, ayahs 256 and 57. We now end with the recommended dua, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. O Lord, accept this service from us, for indeed you are all hearing, all knowing. Assalamu alaikum